Welcome to the Winning Edge podcast, where we share focus, fueling, and faith-filled stories and strategies to give young athletes the tools they need to become the best version of themselves as athletes and individuals.
What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts. I'm Lindsay, former collegiate athlete, coach, educator, and educational coach for over 20 years, and a mom of 2 young athletes.
And I'm Stacy, registered dietitian nutritionist of over 18 years and a mom of 2 young athletes.
Today, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking with David Raffield. David Raffield is a prominent high school football coach based here in Cypress, Texas, most notably known for his successful tenure as the head football coach at Bridgeland High School. Raffield began his coaching career in the Houston area, serving as head track coach and assistant football coach at Cy Falls High School for 11 years before being named the head football coach. He led the Golden Eagles as head coach from 2003 to 2010, guiding them to a state title appearance and multiple playoff seasons. After Cy Falls, Raffield went to coach at A&M Consolidated High School and later was chosen to open and lead the football program at Bridgeland High School in Cypress, Texas. Under his leadership, Bridgeland quickly became a powerhouse program and achieved significant playoff success. Raffield is recognized throughout Texas for his commitment to athlete development, leadership, and building high-achieving football programs. He officially retired from coaching in January of 2023, leaving a legacy in Texas high school football. Today, we're excited to welcome Coach Nick Giondfriddo, the driving force behind South Windsor Hockey's rise as one of Connecticut's most competitive and respected programs. Coach has built a reputation for developing disciplined, hardworking athletes who not only perform on the ice, but also lead with character off of it. Under his leadership, the Bobcats have achieved standout seasons defined by teamwork, resilience, and a relentless will to compete. Whether it's guiding players toward their collegiate hockey dreams or fostering a culture of unity and grit, Coach Giondfriddo's impact reaches far beyond the rink. We're thrilled to have him join the show to talk about building winning mindsets and what it takes to sustain success year after year. While this is his second year as the head coach at South Windsor High, he has spent 7 years coaching youth sports in the town, which creates the pipeline behind the success. Nick, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is a great experience.
This is awesome. And hockey is like a sport I know nothing about. So I'm also excited to talk about and learn from that perspective as well.
Yeah,
so
hockey's the best. It's like organized violence.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Organized violence. That's very difficult, very difficult.
But also the skill you have to have. I think we talked about this, Nick, and I joke like when you were getting ready to come on the podcast that like my son thought he wanted to be a hockey player. He's a very athletic kid, but we went to the ice rink for the first time when he was 8 or 9 years old, and he literally looked like baby giraffe on the ice. So it also takes great coordination.
Yeah, it's intense. It's very hard work. And the gear, Nick will tell you about it, but like the gear, everything, it's so heavy. It's freezing cold in the arena, but you're sweating to death. I love ice skating growing up, but I take the boys when we go back home. I take them to the South Windsor Arena where your team plays all their games. And we go ice skating, and August ankles, they like fold in. I'm like, dude, we got to tie these skates tighter, but they'll fold in. He loves it though, because he's a little bit more violent. Actually, he'd probably be good at hockey. But Nick, I want you to share a little bit about your hockey experiences and what got you into coaching through all that.
Yeah. So my hockey experience started at the age of 4. It was in our family's blood, so I had to keep it going. So I put the skates on, did learn to skate, enjoyed that, even though it was 7 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. And then moved on to travel. Moved all the way up, and then 4 years of varsity for South Windsor High School. The reason I wanted to get into coaching is I had like plenty of coaches that coached me growing up. And I think the best coach was my high school coach. And, the way that coaches shape not only you as a hockey player, but you as an adult, right? It's a good way to prepare you for life, work, whatever it is after high school. and he kind of turned me into the man that I am today. And so, through all those experiences, I was like, I'm not just going to give up the sport when I'm done playing high school hockey. So the only way to get back into it was either men's league or coaching. And I was like, whatever, I'll do both, So, coaching, like I said, you're not only building hockey players, you're building adults. And a good way to be an adult or work your way to be an adult is through sports. Being disciplined, teamwork, communication, all that stuff you need in order to be successful in life. So I just wanted to be that person where, you know, people did that for me when I was growing up. So I wanted to kind of return the favor. And I mean, what better way to do it in your hometown? Just giving back to your community. So that's
I
kind of why I jumped into it.
I love it. You're like literally living the dream, right? You're coaching at your alma mater. I mean, and South Windsor's not a small town per se, but it's not like here in Houston, it's huge. We've got like how many high schools we're at? 12, 13 high schools in our district, right? South Windsor's pretty small in comparison, but it's a hard sought after spot to be a head coach at South Windsor High School. It really is. And so it speaks volumes to who you are as an athlete and as a coach, and as a person, as an adult leading. Like they're putting all that trust in you. And South Windsor is a very, very hard place to get in as a head coach. So it's kudos to you. Hats off. That's amazing.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
as we were talking, I was thinking, and I saw this, it's a poem. I actually saw it the other day, and it made me think about this, Nick, when you said your high school coach was like one of your greatest inspirations, and he grew you not just as a player, but as a person. And I have to read it if that's okay.
Yeah.
It's called The Measure of a Coach. It says, "You didn't just teach us how to win, you taught us how to rise after falling. Each drill became a lesson in grit, each word a spark that kept calling. On our strength we never knew we had, your faith became our mirror, reflecting not our flaws, but the future selves you saw in us clearer." That gives me chill bumps because it's just truly the measure of a coach is to help kids see themselves the way you see the potential they have. And it sounds like that's very much a calling for you in what you do every single day.
Absolutely. So let's just you are a young coach. I know you're gonna be the youngest coach we have on our podcast in this coaching series. How old are you?
I'm 26.
26. He's out there doing head coach work at 26.
That's pretty great.
It's awesome. I'm so excited to pick your brain about some things.
But also that says something about,
Mhm.
I think, again, the discipline, the work ethic you have to be able to grow into that sort of position at a very young age.
Absolutely. You have so
Yeah,
much.
it wasn't it wasn't easy to kind of like jump in and get your feet wet, and that was when I first started coaching. I think I was 21 or 19 or I forget. And I interviewed to be a coach at the youth hockey level, which is, it's all volunteer, and just wanted to start giving back to the program. And like that was kind of like the elephant in the room of like my age, because like what 10-year-old is going to look at a 19 or 20-year-old and be like, who is this guy? But it's one of those things, like I'm always up for the challenge. Um, and I think I tackled that challenge pretty well. And now here we are 7 years later, and you're coaching, teenagers. Yeah, it's a good time.
I love it. And I think that your experience, your mindset, and your age actually play into your ability to develop relationships with your players. Like they can connect to you. They get it, right? It's authentic. It's you were just there not that long ago. So I think coaching high school athletes is a really awesome position for you to be in to make an impact. Um, so we want to talk today about a lot of different things, but one of I think the biggest things is how you build trust within your team because hockey is such a team sport.
Yeah, yeah. Trust is it's a big thing. I mean, it's not, you can't rely on one player. It's a full team effort. So that's a good start. I mean, trust is huge. If you don't have trust, then you don't have a team. So the way that I start building trust, and it's weird because, right, you have to start every year because you have new kids coming into the program. So you kind of have to start with that every year, even though it feels like, okay, well, we have trust, like we're done. That job's never done. It's never over. Um, so the major thing is just like being clear and honest from the start. You have to set the standard, your behavior, your effort, your communication. Like that's all important in order to build trust. And if you don't have that, like, then what do you have? You know, and it takes time. You earn trust by, not just what you say in the locker room as a coach, but how you act throughout the season. And, the way I kind of word that is you have to walk the talk.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of coaches can sit there and, talk, talk, talk. But if the players don't see you walk that talk, then they're not going to trust you, and, kind of like trust and team culture just doesn't happen by default. It's built with intention, kind of guarded with clarity. Um, and it's led from the front, right? So it starts with you as the coach. You're the face, kind of the face of the team. So without you kind of initiating that process, like you don't have the trust. Um, and whether you're coaching hockey, football, like any sport, like trust and team culture, like the standard is the standard, and that doesn't change. Once you set that standard, like that's it, and it's not really what you preach. It's kind of what you permit. And that's like on a consistency level. Um, and another thing with that is like culture breaks down when we tolerate like one exception, right? So if you tell the kids like, hey, this is what we're doing, but then you don't kind of follow through with that. Or another example, right, is like, hey, practice starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you're 2 minutes late, like there's consequences. Like we might be skating a little bit, just to kind of build that, you know, team mentality where like if one
Well,
guy's late, we're all late.
and
Or if
accountability, it sounds like, because the
yeah,
reality is that accountability that you said practice starts at 5. It doesn't start at 5:02. It doesn't start at 5:05. It starts at 5. And so you're either here or you're not. And there's consequences for not.
exactly, exactly. And it's one of those things where, right, if you say practice starts at 5 and okay, we got a guy that's on the ice at 5:02, you can't let that go. Right? Because right there, you're breaking your trust because you told your players practice starts at 5. One kid shows up 2 minutes late and you just kind of like let it go. Then everybody else is going to be like, oh, well, if little Jimmy can show up 2 minutes late, then I can show up 3 minutes late. So it's one of those things like if you tolerate one exception, everything else breaks. So you just, like I said, you have to set the standard and that's it. The standard's a standard and that doesn't change.
I feel like that also is a standard. I'd love your thoughts on this because I see this with team sports too. Like that standard applies to amongst a team. So like if it's like, hey, we're gonna have a great team culture, we're gonna talk kindly to our teammates, or we're gonna be encouraged, like that culture from the coach is also set by how accountable you hold the players, and even if they're a great player, delivering on how they treat their teammates or how they show up, or which I think doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
No, I mean, I know like a lot of coaches, right? They focus on their star players, which is, hey, you need those, but at the end of the day, like me as a coach, the team culture is much more important than the results on the scoreboard. Like, yeah, winning's great, but at the end of the day, like you have to look at like the big picture, right? It's like, what's going to help these players or these young adults later on in life? Being a star athlete or like being a very good adult. And that's kind of like, that's my number one. Is we're just trying to build adults here. But then the number two is like, yeah, we're also here to play sports and be competitive, right? So you kind of have to balance the two. But me as a coach, like I put the team culture first because that's very important. Because without that, you don't have a team.
Completely agree. And there's so many things that you just said that I'm like, oh gosh, like it needs to be like it needs to be on a wall, on a frame, right? Like you said, um, the clarity, right? Like you have to be clear in your expectations, no exceptions. Like there's no exceptions to the standards that you set, and protect that clarity, right? And I think that you do understand that the big picture is so much more than what's the end result at the end of the game. And that's what makes you successful. That's going to drive your success because you hold that standard for all your players and you are more focused on the team and their cohesiveness and growing them into good future men and leaders than you are about the number of wins and losses. What happens with high school athletes, both of us having been one and yourself, what do you do as a coach when trust has been broken between players?
That's a good one. When trust breaks, right? It's to me, the only way you can rebuild that is having the conversation that nobody wants to have. Honest conversations, right? Like, own your mistakes. If I broke that trust, then you need to own up to it, right? You need to have some accountability. And if it's, one of the players or the entire team, listen to them and listen to what's on their mind, because we're all one team. It's kind of like situational, but yeah, if it's on you, you're the coach. You have to own your mistakes, because if you don't, then who will? Um, and then you kind of reset it with mutual accountability. I was like, hey, I owned up to it. Like, hey, I made a mistake here. Like, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And just kind of find that common ground to kind of rebuild that relationship. Because if you don't, then once trust is broken, if you don't try to fix it, it's gonna stay broken.
And to your
Mhm.
point, it's powerful, Nick, to think about this space of owning mistakes as being foundational to trust, because I think about some specific examples I've seen recently in the baseball world where I saw a game and the team lost the game because the coach sent a player and he shouldn't have sent him, and he owned
Mhm.
it. He goes, "I shouldn't have made that decision. And I told you to go. You did what I told you to do. And I'm going to own that."
Mhm.
And then to watch in a next game play where a catcher missed a block ball and it caused a run, and that catcher said to his pitcher, "I'm sorry, I own that. Like, it's not on you, that's on me."
Yeah.
And I think it's evident of what you're saying, which is it really starts with the coach of like, can we display that level of leadership that we're willing to own our own mistakes so that we can set that
Mhm.
example for our kiddos? Mistakes are going to happen. That is part of life.
Yeah.
But how do we own when we make them so that we can all continue to trust one another and move forward in a really
Well, and
successful
I
way?
think that gives when the coach is able to own their mistakes, it does create a place of mutual respect between the athletes and the coach and between the teammates, but it lets you create those relationships.
Mm.
You have to show vulnerability as a leader and as a coach if you want to really build that relationship. It can't just be one-sided. You have to let the kids see who you are too. And I think, that speaks to what you're doing. You're very transparent with your kids and you show your mistakes. You own up for things too. And that's why you have positive relationships. That's why you have the success. And that actually ties into some of the other questions that we had, which was how do you work with your team? How do you work with your athletes to make sure that they're all seen, that they all feel valued, and that they're cared for?
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, hockey, you try to focus on your top players, but um, I'm all team mentality. It's simple. I mean, every day when the kids walk in, hey Tommy, how you doing? You just make sure you know everybody's name first off, early in the season. Make them feel important. If it takes you 2 weeks to try and remember one guy's name, he's gonna feel like he's not important, right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, know their name, talk to them. You know, a simple hello, how was your day, stuff like that. Um, at our high school hockey program, we try to do player check-ins, weekly or biweekly, where one by one the kids just come in the office and the coaching staff just, hey, how's school going? Like, how's it going at home? How are your friends? Stuff like that. Try to connect with them outside of the sport, just to make them feel welcome. Because if they don't feel welcome, then again, you don't have a team. And the way I kind of put it is, there's 23 guys on a roster. It's not 20, right? You can't just connect to 20. You have to connect to all 23. And it's the same thing with the coaching staff. They have to feel important too. Even though you're the head coach, you can't just be the ringleader. You have to make your coaches kind of feel feel like they're important too. So it's just a simple hello, and then it kind of carries on from that. But that's a big thing is, you have 23 guys on a roster. It's not 20, it's not 19, it's not 22. So everybody has to feel welcome.
When you're getting to know your kids in the hockey world and your coaching experience, how many of your 23 on the roster are wanting to go and play in college?
So it's funny you bring that up because me and my assistant coach, there's two of us coaching the program, and we actually had this conversation at the end of last year, and we were just sitting in the office, and it's crazy to think, like, if you were to ask 12-year-olds. So if I were to go in and ask my 12-year-olds right now, raise your hand if you want to play high school hockey, every single hand would go up, right? If if you were to ask every high school athlete just at a local town program, if you were to ask them, raise your hand if you want to go play college hockey, you won't get every hand. So it's funny you bring that up because I don't know. To me, growing up, I want to go play professional hockey. And then, like, as you get older, right now you're in high school and you're like, I'm not going to play professional hockey. So I think it's like a mental thing of like, okay, I'm here. My days are kind of ending. But you ask a 12-year-old, that's their dream still. They're still growing up. It hasn't set in yet that not everybody makes it,
Yeah.
right?
And
But
I
it's
think
another thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think too, Nick, we interviewed
Jackson.
We interviewed a young man who'd played since he was
Little. 5.
6,
Yeah.
5, and great baseball player, played high school baseball, started in high school baseball. He got to his senior year, and I think the honest reality, and I think it's harder on the parents sometimes than it is on the kiddos, because they said when they were 9 or 10 or 12, oh, I want to go play professional ball. So the parents invested everything in supporting that. And then they get to their senior year and they're like, this isn't what I really want to do. I have a passion in computer animation, or I have a passion in anything but this because I'm tired of it because I've done it for so long. And so it's funny that you say that, but I think that's the reality is,
Yeah.
and they're entitled for that opinion to change, right? You want
100%.
people going on that really still love it and want to do it.
Correct.
And I think that ties in when you're getting to know your athletes too, right? Knowing, okay, which of my athletes, because you set goals. I know you set goals with your players. You set goals for the season as a team, you set individual goals with them, or you support them in their goal setting. But knowing that some of these kids on my team want to go play in college, so you push them at a different level than some of your kids that, they have goals that are very much structured, that are going to live and stay within your coaching time with them.
Right. Yeah, everybody has different goals, so you gotta try and it goes back to making every player feel they want to be there.
Yeah.
And you can't cater to the kids that, might have lower goals than others. You gotta adapt, and it's on an individual basis. One kid wants to go play college hockey. Hey, I'm gonna help you get there. One kid, hey, I just want to work on my teamwork or have good communication for outside of high school. We'll do that too. So you have to, again, it goes to that conversation. What are your goals? Why are you here? And what makes you like want to keep coming back? And based on their answers, you have to give each player what they're looking for.
Like that you have the bi-weekly meetings, the check-ins with each player too, because it really helps you know where their headspace is at and who they are off the ice for you, to help support them in those goals that they have. And a lot of kids aren't going on to play college sports. So what lessons do your athletes take away from your program that goes beyond the sports?
Yeah, with hockey, there's a lot of lessons. Resilience and mental toughness. For example, last year it was my first season as head coach for the high school, and didn't really have a whole lot of time to prepare. So it was kind of one of those things where I was learning as I went. But the biggest thing was the kids didn't quit when things got hard. Hockey is in their blood. They chose to be here. You make a commitment, you don't back out. And, you're here for not only yourself, but you're here for your teammates. And if you quit, you're not only letting yourself down, but you're letting your team down. Everybody made the commitment to be here, then you're expected to be here. Another one is discipline, early morning practices, balancing your academics, show up prepared even if you're tired or don't feel like being there. Again, it's a commitment you made. So no matter what, you are there. Accountability is another one. Every decision on and off the ice affects the team. And, like we were saying earlier, if you mess up, it's okay. But let your teammates know that you recognize that mistake and that it's not going to happen again. And then lastly, teamwork and communication is the biggest one. Hockey's fast, it's physical, it's unpredictable. The game moves so fast in the split second. I mean, you're turning and going the opposite way. It's a hard sport, but it's super fun. And the success depends on working together. And we touched on it earlier. If one guy isn't doing his job, we lose. We as a team lose. We don't lose based on one guy's actions. If one guy messes up, we all messed up. It's kind of another thing with accountability.
That hockey is a really tough sport. And I know Stacy said that, one of the boys tried it out and it
We
wasn't
just tried his skating skills, and I'm like, we're terrible at skating, so we would be really terrible at hockey.
It's really, really hard. The physical exertion, I don't know, honestly, and you played your whole life, but trying to put this into perspective, because we are down in Texas, comparatively to football, which one do you think exudes more physical demands, requires more? I don't even know.
I don't know. You're gonna pit our football. We got
I
some
know.
Yeah.
We got some
blood in
football blood down
Texas,
here, but like I'm gonna say that they're pretty well matched when it comes to the demand on your body.
I would say it's pretty similar. I mean, they're similar, but in different ways.
Yeah.
I know I didn't play football growing up. You watch the linemen, right? The guys on the line, like they're taking hits every snap of the ball,
Mhm.
right? Hockey, it's physical on the body. It's a lot of leg muscle work, skating, upper body, like you're hitting guys, you're taking hits if you have the puck. It's different because in hockey, if you don't have the puck, you can't get hit. So you can only hit the guy that has the puck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, if you have the puck, like you're the guy holding the flag and everybody's trying to protect the flag carrier. So it's different, but they're both very physical. We do a lot of conditioning at hockey. We play 3 periods at 15 minutes each. If there's no whistles, it's continuous. When hockey, you have different lines. So you have 3 forwards at a time. So they'll go out, we say for 45 seconds to a minute, and then they change. So they come to the bench and then the next line will go out. So in football, you make a play, okay, maybe they sub a couple guys out. We only get that opportunity if there's a whistle. So during mid-game, you're changing. And there's strategy to that, right? You're not going to change when the puck is in your defensive zone because now you're basically playing down a guy or two. So there's strategy behind that, but they're both physical. Just it's hard to compare because it's just played differently.
They're both so intense and so demanding. They're very different, but they're so similar with the intensity of the games. It's really, I mean, you really need to go watch a hockey game.
I know.
Like sitting there and you see them like hop over the wall to go in, and then these other guys fly over it's wild. It's wild.
I think about injuries too, like similar to football.
Mhm.
It is a very high intensity and hard on your body. It would feel like sport, like your knees, your leg falling on the ice. I guess the padding maybe helps.
Yeah, the padding. Yeah, the falling is unless you fall on your butt. There's no padding there. That's the worst.
It's like it's everywhere else though. But I think of because it's so intense. We talk about athletes that are football players and how it's mental, right? The physical part of it is so strong that they have to be mentally tough to handle all of that and the intensity. But with hockey, they also have to be very mentally tough, right? So how do you motivate your athletes to stay in the right mindset after a tough loss or a rough practice? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a good one, and it's one of those things that like you have to talk about because not every season is going to be a winning season, especially like with high school. Like you could win the state championship one year and then you could finish last place the next just based on your graduating class, right? So like that was us last year. So my first year, the year before that, they graduated 9 or 10 seniors. So we were kind of starting with little bit of a fresh slate, guys that weren't getting a whole lot of playing time, like they got playing time last year. So going back to the motivation part is, we weren't that successful on the scoreboard at least, but I thought we were successful showing up every day and not quitting. So the thing with motivation is like a tough loss or a challenging season is, first off, you have to acknowledge it, because teenagers, they know, this was a bad season, blah, 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 just negative mindsets from the start. Is first just acknowledge it. Hey, this is what happened. This is real. The struggles, our missed goals, our emotions. You have to acknowledge that, and then you rebuild it. Involve the players with that process. Hey, what did you think went well? What needs change? Because again, we're a team. I can't sit here and just call the shots based on my thoughts. They're the players. They're the ones who at the end of the day dictate how everything unfolds. And bring the team back to a shared purpose, right? Growth, grit. And with South Windsor High School hockey, it's a legacy. Growing up, it was such a prestigious program. So you have to maintain that title, so how do we get back to that shared purpose? And my biggest thing is, okay, we had a bad season. So this year, right, we're coming in and we graduated 4 seniors last year. So we retained a lot of players, and we have, I think, about 6 or 7 guys coming in this year that are going to help out. So our mindset as coaches is, okay, we try to not look in the past, but how do we overcome that? And it's one of those mindsets of, as a team, we have an opportunity to be the team that bounces back. And if you can, that is a huge accomplishment, because a lot of people look at last year and they're like, oh, South Windsor High School, they were in last place. Well, guess what? Not this year. We just have a different mindset. We had a bad season, but this is your opportunity to basically, in my words, shock the state. And that's my biggest thing is, let's shock the state of Connecticut, because everybody's going to sleep on us,
Well, and honestly,
And-
this goes not just for teams. This goes for, think about individual players.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a bad outing. You went out, you pitched, you had a bad outing. People are sleeping on you a little bit, right? And honestly, there's nowhere to go but up from there. And so just the mentality of going in with nothing to lose. It sounds like what I'm hearing from you, Nick, is such a powerful place for athletes to understand that that's really where they're positioned. When it hasn't gone your way, so what? You now have nothing to lose. You might as well go all out, believe you can do it, because the only place to go from there is improvement.
Well, and the fact that they have you as a coach who's so open to, let's talk as a team, right? Like, you're giving the players ownership and stake in the season. It's not you dictating what's going to happen and telling them what to do. You are putting your trust in them. And you're going to grow this program. Oh my gosh, you're going to grow this program so much. I can't wait to see in 2 years out, 5 years out,
yeah.
you stay and you're, the coach at South Windsor High School till you retire, because it is a legacy. I mean, I didn't even know we had a football team in high school. I didn't until one of my friends was on the team and I was like, we have a team? It was hockey. It was hockey, it was basketball, it was lacrosse, right? Those were the things. So I think you are going to be a transformative leader for the program. I'm so excited about it. And it actually kind of ties into this, one of the last questions that I have for you, which is, what legacy do you hope your players carry with them when they leave your program?
It's another good one. For me, like the most important thing is, it's not about the banners on the wall. It's not about how many points you had as a player. It's really about who these players become after experiencing such an awesome opportunity of being in your program. And if every player was asked what it was like to be a part of this program, I would hope they say, as a coach, was, we worked hard. We had each other's backs. We did things the right way, and we left better than we came. And if that is the answer given, that's a win. That's a big win,
We just did a long post on this on social, Nick, and I love your answer, because I think the greatest thing is, sports is about who they become in the process of doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be your star player, you may not be the winning team, but my gosh, I hope that at the end of this time, we have invested something in them, and that's the legacy you're leaving with your kiddos. When they leave you, they will be the young men and women that they're intended to be as they go on and live the rest of their lives. Because at some point the game ends.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the game continues.
Right.
And you might have in your legacy is that a kid goes on and is going to be that coach Nick was for me. You're the coach that your high school coach was for you. And I think it's the full circle, right? It all comes back to that. So, man, that's
Good stuff.
that's
For being
It's
so
funny.
young,
It's
yeah,
funny.
very
Real
wise.
quick. It's
Yeah.
funny that you guys talk about how sports, ties into being an adult. And this just popped in my head. So at work, my manager, he always frustrated about the supervisors. They can't make decisions. And he knows I coach hockey. He knows I'm a big hockey guy. And he'll walk by me and he'll just shake his head and he'll be like, Nick, what sport did these guys play? You know? And it kind of, I laugh a little bit. If you don't play sports, sometimes you handle situations differently, or you don't know how to make decisions, or whatever it is, X, Y, and Z. So it's funny you guys brought that up. That just popped in my head. This is kind of relatable,
So
what
many
sport did
great
these guys
leadership
play?
skills. So many great leadership skills come from sports, whether that's like to communication or resilience or determination or the ability to make a decision in a split second when other people are counting on you.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's like you're going to own the decision you made and you're going to do it, right? It's that drive to just, I said I'm going to do it, I'm doing it. And so, yeah, everything you're doing with these guys on your team, I mean, you're just building powerful leaders for the future.
And thank you for being the kind of coach, Nick, who's invested in the future of these kiddos beyond them playing on the ice for you. So thank you for spending time with us today. This was awesome.
No, thank you for having me. This is an awesome opportunity.
We look forward to chatting with you in the future again.
Yeah, when you win state, we expect you to come back. We're going to talk about it.
We'll be there. Give me a 5-year time window.
I like it. I like it. Well, take care, Nick. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.
Stay tuned for future podcasts where we will bring on exciting guests in the sports world, highlight spotlight coaches, athletic directors, former and current collegiate and professional sports players, sports dietitians, psychologists, and more. What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels for more exclusive content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X at @span_athletics. Until next time, stay faithful, stay fueled, and remain focused on your goals.